Chapter 1. I Can Do More.
"Hurry up, Spark,"
his father called from the doorway. "If you're late again, Veen is going to go crazy, and who knows what his cats will do to you." "Rats!" Spark jumped out of the bed and dashed across the floor and down the stairs, grabbing a broom, forgetting his lunchbox as he raced out the door. His mother ran after him. "Spark, you forgot your lunch!" He ran back to her, gave her a kiss on the cheek, grabbed the lunchbox, and darted down the narrow streets, dodging the little animals playing their games. As he passed by Old Mouse Mildred's house, she chuckled and called out, "Late again, Spark?" He shouted back at her, grinning. I know. I think there's something wrong with my bed. It grabs me by the foot and won't let me up in the morning." Mildred shook her head and laughed at him as he darted around the corner. He didn't stop running until he finally saw his best friend Gordon, standing at the edge of a group of mice assembled in the town square and scampered next to him, out of breath. "You're late," Gordon whispered, looking nervously at a group of cats up on a podium across the street, surrounding their leader Veen, the head weasel. "You're lucky Veen didn't notice you." "Did I miss anything, Gordon?" Gordon shook his head. "No. He's about to do his morning rant." Veen was in a particularly irritated mood. He'd woken up that morning and felt that the wind was extra chilly, and he wasn't in the mood to watch a batch of mice all day. He looked sadly at the frosty mountains and then scowled. The cold of the mountains reminded him of the cold in his heart, and he shook off the feeling and returned to the job at hand. "You!" he shouted at Spark. "Don't be late again, or I might forget that cats aren't supposed to eat mice in this town." Spark stood up proudly. "My name is Spark, sir." Spank, the black cat, perked up and licked her lips. She purred slightly and her tail twitched. "We may be vegetarians," she yowled to Scrap, the orange tabby cat, "but I would like some extra protein every now and then." "Leave them alone and let them sweep," Char purred back. "No one wants to walk around on dirty streets." Scrap crouched down low, ready to pounce, and stared at the mice. "They sweep better when they're thinking about us." He let out a low growl. Gordon shivered a bit and stood in line as Veen prepared to address the gathering below. Veen raised his hand to silence the gathering and stepped forward as he began his morning rant. "My friends and I, we run this place. We make the rules and we set the pace. So get in line. It's starting time!"
My friends and I, we run this place. We make the rules and we set the pace. So get in line, it's starting time. There will be no laughing, this will not be fun. You'll sweep and you'll clean until the work gets done. So get in line, you're all mine.
"Now pay attention. I was not happy with your work yesterday. This place is a mess. Get to work." The mice scattered with their brooms and mops in hand. Char jumped down and quietly moved to the corner where the two streets came together and called out to Gordon. Gordon sighed. "I guess it's time for me to scratch his belly again." He looked to make sure the other cats weren't watching and then made his way over to where Char was lying and began to scratch his stomach and behind his ears. "Who's a good kitty?" he muttered under his breath. Spark closed his eyes and frowned. If my grandfather could see Zuron, he'd be ashamed. He used to be a leader in this town, back before the supervisors took over. Now here we are cleaning the streets and worrying about Veen and his nasty cats. 2 blocks over, a group of young mice were having a diving competition in a fountain in the central plaza. Dan the diver stood proudly on the edge of the fountain, and the crowd held its breath in expectation to see if he'd be able to defend his championship title. Suddenly, he turned with his back to the pool and launched himself in the air. With a double backflip, he landed in the water without a splash. The crowd went wild as the judges gave him a perfect score. A young mouse suddenly noticed Spank and gave a quick squeak. The other mice scattered, leaving only Dan as he came up for air. As he got out of the pool, Spank was waiting, holding a scrap of paper. Dan stood there dripping as Spank began shouting at him. "Just what I like to see, a sweating mouse. Are you nervous, little mouse?" "Well, you should be. Look at this mess. This whole plaza is filthy, and there's water everywhere. Get a mop and clean it up." Dan nodded nervously. Spank turned and walked away from Dan, looking back and hissing as she went. After a morning of sweeping and cleaning, Gordon was ready for lunch. As they ate their cheese sandwiches, Spark noticed that Cindy was looking over at them. "I think Cindy likes you." He chuckled and poked Gordon in the ribs. Gordon groaned. "I doubt it. What would she see in me? I'm just a scrawny mouse with big teeth." Spark laughed. "Don't sell yourself short. All the girls think you're cute. I'll never know why." Gordon gave him a light-hearted shove, and they both grinned. Cindy walked by on her way back to work. "Hi, Gordon," she blushed. "Will you walk me home tonight?" Gordon gulped and turned red. "I don't know how to walk home." He realized his mistake. "I mean, I can walk, but... He took a deep breath. "Yes, I can walk home with you." Cindy grinned and walked off as Spark proudly slapped him on the back. As they followed Cindy back to work, they noticed Biff flexing his muscles. "Wow, Biff," Spark beamed. "You're looking great. What are you lifting these days?" Biff flexed again. "Dude, I pushed 2 pounds yesterday. I'm working on 3. That cat Scrap needs to keep his head up." He started punching the air as he gave them his biggest grin. There was a sudden loud hissing sound behind them. "Look, it's Mighty Mouse and his merry men. Ooh, I'm shaking in my socks. Get back to work. Break time is over," Scrap shouted from behind them. "I've got my eye on you 3. Gordon and Spark jumped, and Biff frowned and sighed as he grabbed his broom and raced back to work. When the sun had set and the mice were scampering home to their little houses, Veen stayed after, made notes, and thought about the ice-capped peaks as he tried to keep his mind from wandering to Wendy. "Oh, Wendy, why did you leave me?" he thought sadly. "Why didn't you take me with you?" His thoughts were interrupted by the sound of slow, friendly steps. Veen sighed and put on a big smile. He never let the mayor see the dark side of him. The mayor only knew Veen, the model citizen. "Mayor," Veen called out. "How are you today?" Mayor Ted Bear lumbered around the corner. "Veen," he drawled, giving him a giant bear hug. "You're doing a great job." "Why, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm truly honored. In fact, I have just decided to nominate you for an award." "An award for me?" "Provider of the Year." "Thank you, sir." Without really hearing him, the mayor began lumbering home, talking to himself about how beautiful the night sky was. Veen stood by himself in the darkness, scowling, then trudged home. Spark was also marveling at how beautiful the night sky was. "Spark," his father said gently, "you need to get your head out of the clouds, son. You've got to quit wishing the world was different and accept the way it is. You're a mouse. You've got an important job to do. We all have our place. You need to try to be the best worker you can be. Keep your head down. Stay out of trouble. He leaned over and patted Spark on the shoulder. I know you love to dream, his father said, sadly. I did too, but the world isn't kind to dreamers. Spark looked back at the stars and the moonlight on the frosty peaks and sighed. I know I can do more. I just have to find a way to prove it.
They said I couldn't do it, just stay in my place and stand on the sidelines. Don't run the race, but I can do more. I think I can do more. I once had a dream that I was the king. The people would listen. What a wonderful thing, 'cause I can do more. I want to be king. Put me in, coach, and give me the ball. I'll make the play, whatever you call. What if I can do more? What if I can do